Welcome back everybody, MC here with another video, and today I want to show you guys how to play RimWorld. RimWorld can be quite a complex game and can be a difficult game to learn for new players, but trust me when I say that once you learn how everything works, you'll be flying it in no time with the game. It's very easy to remember how things work once you learn them. It's the same with anything really. So what we're going to do is we're going to start off with the fact that we have just crash landed and we have a big pile of items in front of us. We have 3 characters, and what do you do? Where do you begin? So the first thing is we want to make sure that our characters are allowed to interact with all of these objects on the ground. So we go to Architect, we go to Orders, and then we're going to right click Allow. We're going to unforbid all items. That's going to unforbid all items on the map. If you have characters who are actually good at shooting and you want them to have weapons, left click on your character, right click on a weapon and equip it, and they'll pick it up. So the first thing we're going to do to see where we're going to put our base is we're going to go down to the fertility overlay, and I will show you how to use these overlays in a future video. I'm going to click on that and we're going to be looking for dark green. The dark green is going to show us where the land is the most fertile. Now we don't want to be too close to the edge of the map, so this area down here isn't perfect or good enough. So it doesn't look like we have much fertile ground on the map, but this area seems to be okay. So you want to go down to Architect, you want to go to Zone, you want to go to Growing Area. Let's turn that overlay back on again for a second, and we're just going to make a growing area that is right in the middle of all of this lovely fertile land. And we're going to right click away from that, turn off the overlay, click on this, and we're going to change that over to rice plants. There's more things that you need to do when it comes to growing than just putting down one rice plant growing zone, but for now I'm just going to show you the basics. This is going to help to keep your guys fed. Then we're going to go down to Architect, Zone. We're going to make a stockpile zone. It doesn't really matter where you put this because you're going to be getting rid of it later anyway. This is just to get all of the starting items down to this area so that you can start to sort them later. So in general, you want to go into your stockpiles and change your storage based upon what you actually want to put in it. But for the sake of the basics, we're just going to leave it for now. The next thing we want to do is we want to go to Work. And we want to have ourselves on manual priorities. So literally get rid of this, turn it to manual priorities. Usually what I like to do to set myself up is to have everyone on 1 firefighting. I usually like to have everyone on 1 patient. I like to have everyone on 1 doctoring. And I like to have everyone on 2 bed rest. I usually take childcare off at the beginning. I usually have everyone on 2 basic. For now, we don't need a warden. For now, we don't really need a handler. You can learn about what the individual things do by hovering over them. And obviously, you want to have a cook. So you want to have at least 1 cook who's pretty much their main job is cooking. And we're not going to need to worry about hunting right now. And then we want to have our construction being done. And we're going to put construction for 2 on our cook. And the most important thing is having a crafter. And then we need a grower. So we're going to be growing into this area with this character. And we're going to be plant cutting the area as well with this character. So I think we can unpause here and let them get started. They're going to bring the items down to the holding area. And they're going to start growing the growing zone. We're going to start working on our buildings and getting ready for that. You go to your production. And you go to a stonecutter's table, and I think we'll put it up against this wall here. And the character will take longer to do what we want to do with this because it's outside, but we'll put it inside later. And then we want to have our cooking area as well. So we go into production again. So Architect production for the fueled stove. We also want to put this somewhere out of the way as well. Not too far out of the way. Once again, it's a pity that this area is a little bit it's very open, but it's fine. We'll worry about that later. We can sort all of the looks of the area out better later. So we're going to make a butcher's table and a kitchen right next to each other. And we are going to go into our schedule And what I like to do, especially on the lower difficulties, is I like to click on anything and get rid of these last 2 squares of sleep. That way our characters won't oversleep. Let's just put it like that. I also want to put down some sleeping areas for them. And that's just so they don't have to, sleep in a random spot. There's a furniture sleeping spot. You'll get to know all these menus as you play. So let me show you how to get this set up. This is the most important thing I'm going to show you today because this is where most people fail their first playthrough. You want to go into your stonecutters table. It's not really about the stonecutters table. It's how to create builds. You want to click your bill. So I'm going to add a bill to make granite blocks. I'm going to change that to do until you have X, and I'm going to change that to about 400. These numbers are not the most important thing that you're going to learn. What you're going to learn and what's the most important thing is how to add the builds in the first place. So if I was to say I want him or I want my characters to make sandstone blocks as well, I will have myself down for 400 of those as well. What you want done first is at the top of the list. And if you have anything at the top that you don't want done, but you don't want to change your order, just suspend. But the reason why this is important isn't for the stonecutters table. It's for the butcher's table. We're going to add a build to the butcher's table to butcher creature and do it forever. That way your characters will always chop up the meat of animals. Now I tend to play RimWorld in a way where most of my characters are vegetarian and they don't have to worry about going for any of the animals in the area. A lot of people focus very heavily on killing animals and using their meat in this game. I tend to grow all my food. So just so you know, growing is a lot more powerful, a lot easier than having to go after animals. But you still want to have this on butcher creature at all times. Any blood that's around here can cause disease and food poisoning, so just be careful. You should really have your butcher's table away from your stove or away from anything else that's important to keep clean. But that's for another video. That's getting too far into the nitty gritty with this game. Fuel stone, very important. You want to add a bill. Now you have a lot in here. For now, we're just going to cook simple meals. You really want to go up to, say, fine meals, lavish meals, vegetarian meals. I generally go for vegetarian fine meals personally, or if I'm feeling spicy, I'll go for the lavish meals. But in general, you just want to make sure that you're cooking something. So cook simple meal, and I'm going to do that until I have 20. I have 3 characters and I'm on a lower difficulty for the sake of this video, so I don't think my characters are going to be under much trouble. So our character here is cleaning, even though there's jobs to be done. So at the moment they're cleaning above constructing. This is actually a good example because I don't want them to be cleaning dirt. So let's stick them onto one construction. I know that they're not the best constructor in the world, but we're making everything out of wood at the moment anyway. So there's very low chance they're going to fail at making a shelf, right? We'll find out what happens. Also, speaking of wood, we need wood. So let's go to architect, orders. And let's go to chop wood. What we're going to do is we're going to designate a bunch of trees to be chopped down so we can have wood for our buildings. Then we also want to have a bit of food because it doesn't look like we have much food beyond the opening food they give you. So what I'd recommend that you do is you go to orders and then you go to harvest. And if you are looking to harvest all the berries in the area, just go like this. Now you will harvest some of the heal root that's on the ground as well, but that's not so bad. I'm literally looking to get berries from these bushes. Okay, so as you can see here, we have a shelf and it's full of crap. That is pretty much RimWorld in a nutshell. That is how you take care. This is how you take care of that problem. You go into storage. Start off by clearing all. That's what I usually do. And then change it to what you want it to be. So for example, I want it to be granite blocks. That's going to allow us to put the granite blocks when they're finished onto the shelf ready for the constructors so that they can start doing what we need the granite blocks for. So why did we make granite blocks in the first place? Well, the reason why we made granite blocks is because we want to make our walls out of granite. To do that, we go into architect, go to structure, right click on the walls, change it to granite. We want to make a little room for our characters. So let's just say we want to enclose this sleeping area. so that they don't have to sleep outside. Let's just enclose that little area. Everything that you do in this game can be fixed later. So if you make the rooms like awkward or too big or too small, you can change it all later. So I wouldn't be too stressed about that. So we just make a little box, obviously. Then we stick a door in. Wooden doors open faster, so I usually use wooden doors. The reason why we're using granite walls is so that they don't burn down as easily. Because wooden walls, one fire, and your whole base could end up catching fire. So it's probably better off to make everything out of stone. Now, one thing I haven't showed you guys yet is the visibility of roofs. So if I click that, it'll show me what has a roof over it. Anything that's light green can be removed. Anything that's dark green, which we can't see yet, can't be removed. So you have to be very careful with dark green roofs. I can show you that in another video. But for now, what we want to do is we want to make sure that this has a roof. We're going to put a build roof area here, and it's going to turn yellow because it's actually in the process of being made. Now, if they make the roof, sometimes they do this. If they make the roof before they put down a wall, the roof's going to fall down on top of our characters straight away. So hopefully they do the walls first. We'll see what happens. I'd recommend putting down wooden shelves all over the place and slowly getting rid of this stockpile zone. You don't want to have stuff on the ground if possible. You want to keep it on shelves because shelves are a lot handier and it's a lot cleaner. Also, here's another little trick that you probably shouldn't know as an early game player. If you have items on a shelf, they no longer have their unroofed outdoors debuff, so they no longer deteriorate. So you can have a shelf that is outside, and as long as you put the items onto that, then they will no longer deteriorate. That's another thing you probably shouldn't be learning early game, but it's fine. We also want to give our characters a bit of light because they're going to be giving out about the lack of light in their bedroom as well. Now, unfortunately, the lack of light comes with minuses and positives. Light is obviously good for them, but torches can produce heat, and sometimes they'll be giving out that they don't want to be too hot, so you have to balance that as well. So for now, we're just going to put ourselves as storage and pretty much anything that's going to deteriorate here. So the first thing we're going to do is meals, and I'm going to look for my medicines as well. So medicine. I'm going to put herbal medicine on there as well. And yeah, we're going to change the storage to important so that it'll actually push the items that we want onto that shelf rather than having them here. Actually, one thing that you can do is you can slowly start going into storage, and you can slowly start to tell this storage area that we don't want these items here anymore. That is probably one of the better ways to do this. So we're going to type in medicine, and we're going to turn that off so that medicine is no longer allowed in here. So they have to put it across, even if this is preferred or critical or important or not. There is a lot to learn in RimWorld, and I don't want to keep you for too long. I want you to be able to use the basics of this. So there's one last thing I want to show you how to do, and anything else that we haven't showed you is going to be in the next video. And that is how to defend yourself. What I usually do is I click on draft. They'll stop doing whatever you've told them to do previously, and now you have full control over where they walk. You can tell them to fire at will, or you can turn off fire at will. But what we're going to do here is if you have an enemy coming in, you want to take up a defensive position. The way it works in this game is if you have something near you, you have a chance that the enemy is going to miss. So trees work. Obviously objects work. You can build sandbags as well. Not sure if I have access to sandbags because I don't have like cloth or leather yet, but you can build sandbags. You can build barricades, and it just lowers the chance of the enemy hitting you. So make sure you try and put your character behind some sort of cover. And then if you want to shoot something, most of the time, if it's an enemy, you just right click and fire at. But if you want to shoot at something that is, for example, an object, or if you want to shoot at something that's not aggressive, you can always click on the gun itself. It shows you the distance you're able to shoot, and then shoot or click on the thing that you want to shoot. So a turkey isn't exactly the biggest thing in the world to shoot. It's not going to be that dangerous. Some things can fight back, so be careful when you go into your wildlife and you decide to shoot something with a percentage number here. It means they will fight back. Turkeys aren't going to fight back. To be honest, I would be very surprised if Mal actually manages to shoot something. So distance is of course going to make a huge difference. So if you want your character to move up and get closer to the thing that you're shooting at, just literally left click on them or box click them and then right click them forward. We're going to try and beat the turkey with a stick. This game can be very violent. Just a warning. Yeah, there we go. Oh, the turkey's fighting back. We actually got bitten twice by the turkey. One thing I forgot to show you, which is kind of a good thing that this happened, is if you click here for self-tend, your characters will tend themselves instead of having to wait for pretty much someone else to doctor them. And she should, because I have already told her to carry medicine, she should patch herself up. The health section in here is very important. If there's any bleeding, you should really get that patched up as quickly as possible. There's so much stuff I haven't been able to cover in this video, so please make sure you ask in the comment section if you have any questions. Anything that you've seen and you have questions about, let me know. If you don't understand it fully yet, this game, as I said, it can be quite complex. But once you learn it, you aren't going to easily forget it. It becomes second nature. The first things that we're going to start doing on our playthrough after this is we're going to put some proper beds in here so that they're able to sleep. We're going to keep an eye on their needs, see what they're unhappy about. This person was just after coming off fighting and being drafted, so that's why they're hungry. And we're just going to make sure that we try and get the kitchen away from the butcher's table, but also indoors. And we're going to try and get all of this indoors as well. And we're going to be making lots more of these buildings. Kind of going to make a base all around the area. So much more stuff to show you guys. So just let me know what you'd want me to cover, and let me know what you don't understand, and I'll try and cover it in another video. Thank you very much for watching. Best of luck with RimWorld. It's a fantastic game. I'll see you in the next one. Ta-ta!